is made possible in part by Monmouth Arts through funding from the Monmouth County Board of Chosen Freeholders and the New Jersey State Council on the Arts. We'd also like to acknowledge these programs are also made possible through the generous donations of local individual donors through our recent Vibrant Summer fundraiser. So thank you everyone for supporting our programming at the Atlantic Highlands Arts Council. For a bit of quick virtual housekeeping, you were muted upon entry to this event. So please keep yourselves on mute until we open it up for a Q&A at the end of the program with Audra. This just helps to maintain the sound quality during the program. You may ask questions at the end of the event by unmuting, or you may ask questions by using the chat box, and we'll make sure to ask them to Audra at the end. And if you haven't already done so, you can put your view to speaker view, which will give you sort of the best screen to see the event tonight. The Atlantic Highlands Arts Council does have additional programming coming up. We have starting October 29th and running weekly through December 10th, a 6-week winter watercolors virtual class with Tracy Witter. Classes are Thursdays, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. and you can learn more and register for those classes on our website. In the main gallery, we have Marge Levine and the Pastel Salon, which runs now through November 28th. And in our window galleries, we have Jose Antonio Arvello, Cheryl Auditor, and Trisha Lee Rhodes. And in December, we're going to have a really cool online lecture and a community knitting project. So stay tuned for more info on that. For more information on any of our programs, you can visit our website, aharts.org. And for accessibility questions or requests, you can email us on atlantichighlandsartscouncil@gmail.com, and we'll put both of those links into the chat box for you as well. I'd like to introduce our artist for this evening, Audra Mariel. For a bit of Audra's background, Martin Howth is a solo looping project of jazz vocalist Audra Mariel of Audra Mariel and a Real Human Jazz Band. All loops are generated live without the use of tracks nor digital effects. Varied sound is achieved solely through manipulation of the human voice, and the name is a spoonerism inspired by the heart and mouth idiom. It speaks to the feelings evoked with the inception of the project and nods to the fun places one's heart may end up, on one's sleeve, in one's mouth, lost, broken, and mended. Music has been described as ethereal, even meditative, but also features catchy hooks and thoughtful lyrics. Martin Howth's debut album, The Wayward Warbler, was released in December 2018 and is available on all digital platforms and CD. The second release, The Fleur Manneries Present, a Howth concert, is a live recording made in spring 2019 and is available on Bandcamp and CD. She is currently recording a third album to be released in 2021. Welcome, Audra. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Thanks for having me, Amanda. Thanks for inviting me. I've been looking forward to this. There hasn't been a lot happening given the circumstances of the world. So this is a real treat. Thank you.
We're so excited to have you. And even though we're watching you virtually, Audra has told me she has an in-person audience of all of her cats at home.
Yes,
so.
They are here. I'm hoping that they're not disruptive. It seems like they're all just laying down somewhere right now, which is good. But in case my video starts to shake, it's because they've jumped atop the cat tower that my laptop is sitting on right now. So
before we get started, I did want to ask you a couple questions because this was the first time I had heard of live looping, and my husband is a musician and we hadn't really heard about it yet. So I wanted to ask you a bit more about your background and live looping. So when did you start doing live looping, and can you kind of tell us what it is?
Yes. First, what it is, I mean, obviously I'm only looping vocals, but there are musicians that loop all of the time. You might have actually heard people using looping in live performances or even on recordings and you might not have realized it. There are artists like Andrew Bird, who's a violinist. He uses loops in his recordings. Trying to think of like current artists. I think the Dirty Projectors might, the Tune Yards do, a lot of like indie kind of sounding bands, but people have been looping for a very long time. I have a lot of artist friends who loop as well in their live performances. Bone and Marrow uses loops. My good friend John Francis uses loops when he performs. And And it's really just a means of capturing something that you play live and playing it back. And then that playback just loops. I started doing it, oh goodness. It started with this jazz fusion project that I worked on for a hot minute. And my friend Kevin lent me his Jam Man guitar pedal. So the difference is I have something in front of me now. It's called an RC 505. It's a Boss loop station. And it has 5 tracks. And it's hand friendly. So it's got these big old buttons and things that light up and these faders on it as well. What I was using when I started was a guitar pedal, which you're supposed to hit with your feet, but I was using my hands and it was just like you'd have to lean on it. There was a delay, and I was using it for little ambient things or like to do intros to songs, etc. But I liked it so much that even when that project kind of disbanded, I decided to start writing songs that way. And I started using the Jam Man pedal when I wrote, I guess, the first 2, maybe like 2.5 songs that I had written this way. And then I sold my TV and bought this used, oh no, cat, and bought this used on Reverb. It begins. Nev, get down, you cannot, hold on.
It's okay. I've been doing this for all of my Zoom meetings during work. You know, getting cats off my lap. You're not the only one with kitties Zoom bombing your videos. So
she just can't walk across my keyboard or we're gonna have a problem. She's no, you're not being funny. I don't know what to do with you. Anyway, so that's how it got started. And then I think I was telling you, I started by playing open mics outside of New Jersey. Eventually I got back because I didn't want anyone to know that I was doing this because I was so afraid. And then eventually I got back to New Jersey, but I wouldn't play in Monmouth County, or I wouldn't play around this area where anyone would know me. And that's where I met my friend Nick, who's I think here tonight, up in, I think we're in Oradell at a coffee shop. And again, like I would only play places where I knew I wouldn't know anyone. And then eventually I got brave enough to play in front of folks, but it's evolved over the past few years.
And I think that kind of speaks to what we were talking about before we opened the Zoom meeting tonight, was about the name Martin Howth, and how, can you explain how you sort of flip-flop that? I kind of liked this idea of you sort of hiding behind this other name as well, and this other gender.
Yeah, so I was going to call this Heart and Mouth when I started, and eventually it was suggested to me at the time by someone who was like, oh, why don't you just swap the H and the M and then you'll be Martin Howth, and that's a person's name. And I'm like, oh, I'm a person, I like that. And then I just changed the spelling a bit to make it a little just a little easier. I felt like there was a little room for interpretation with Houth. I wanted to make it a little easier for people, and I liked it. Yeah, I did like the anonymity that it gave me. And we were also talking about the suitcase, because at the time I was sitting on the floor, and I was able to just kind of, which I know, I mean, I haven't had a lot of formal training as a singer. I majored in theater in college, so I had some vocal training there. And then I sang jazz for many years. But I know what I do know is that it's not good to be hunched over, like sitting on the floor hunched over when you're singing. And I knew that from go, but I would hide behind the suitcase because it was so safe. And now I still get it, but I'm at least standing and able to support my voice properly.
And then I was also thinking, I wanted to know more about how the pandemic has affected your artwork and performances. And it's interesting that you started live looping before, like years before the pandemic. Mm-hmm. And it's like a kind of a perfect medium right now because it's solo. You can do it from your living room. The mm-hmm. sound tonight is going to be fantastic. So how do you feel like the pandemic has affected your artwork overall?
It's strange. I want to say, oh, I have all this time, because people, have time afforded to them if they're working from home, et cetera. But I still was working my regular day jobs. I'm a chronic overcommitter, so I really don't have a lot of extra time to devote to this. And the only thing that's really changed, I would say, so yes, it is kind of a perfect medium for this because I can hook directly into the computer, like we said, and the sound is usually pretty okay. And it is solo. I think I went through what a lot of my friends are going through, which is they feel like as though they're screaming into a vacuum sometimes because who's there to watch you? And there's something that I like about, especially having a theater background, having a jazz background, about live performance is the energy of the space, the energy of the audience. It feeds the performance. I mean, and that's not to say if you have a bad performance that you should blame it on your audience. It's just about, it's an exchange of ideas. It's an exchange of energy. And in the theater, it's as though everything is happening for the first time, every time. When you're playing jazz, it's different every time because it's so improvisational. It's so improvisation based. And with this, I have a certain degree of that in flexibility in that I leave room for improvisation sometimes with the songs, but I also don't play with a click because the click always throws me off. I've been told you should play with a click, your tempos would be consistent. And I'm always kind of like, yeah, but I don't care. Like if the song is a little bit slower one night, that's fine. Like that's what I was feeling that night. And it's honest. And I like the authenticity of that. So the thing that I'm missing and the thing that's cool, like what's great about this is that there's so many people that can come and join tonight and watch. And it's nice to be able to perform for people and share, but it's a different sort of exchange. I've done these before where you're like, okay, I'm done. And you're like, did they like it? Are they with me? Are they scrolling on their phones at this point? And just kind of like, whatever, she's doing something over there. So I don't know. It's strange. It forces, but on the positive end, you can see how adaptable we all are. Like how quickly did you start seeing people hosting Zoom concerts or live streams? It happened really quickly, and a lot of artists that we idolize and are familiar to us, we were watching them perform in their living rooms, and that was cool. So I think it speaks to how resilient we are as people, but I think that there are many of us that are longing for that exchange that only a live performance can give you, you know?
Yeah. Well, I'm going to save my last question for the Q&A. And I am going to now turn the platform over to you to perform tonight. So thank you so much. We're looking forward to it.
Thank you. Okay, I'm going to get started. I'm going to take a sip of water. I'm also going to do this. Okay. Sorry, folks. My cat was eyeing this tower and I wanted to give her somewhere else to go. Okay. All right. So I'm going to play you a song called Distant Dissonance. It's a newish song that will be on an album that I'm recording that should be titled Distant Dissonance, if all goes according to plan.
What if what we thought was the end turned out to be a great remembering? Everything is everything, everything is everything, everything is everything, everything is everything. What if what we thought was the end turned out to be a great remembering? What if what we thought was the end turned out to be a great remembering? What if what we thought was the end turned out to be a great remembering? is never rain. What if we say that was the end turned out to be a great rain is never rain. What if we say that was the end turned out to be a great rain is never rain. What if we say that was the end turned out to be a great rain is never rain. What if we say that was the end turned out to be a great rain is never rain. What if we say that was the end turned out to be a great rain is never rain. What if
All this distant dissonance is all this distant dissonance is all this distant dissonance is all this distant dissonance is
what if we say
all
that was the
this
end turned out to be
distant
a great rain is never rain. What if we say that was the end turned out to be a great rain is never rain. What if what we thought was the end turned out to be a
escape
great rain
and
never
they
rain. What if what
hit
we
your
thought
tongue
was the end
just
turned out to
as
be
you
a great
lose
rain
them.
never rain. What if what we
What
thought was the
set
end turned
a
out to
rattle
be
on
a great
your
rain
side?
never rain. What if what we
What
thought was the
set
end turned
a
out to
rattle
be
on
a
your
great
side?
rain? What if what we thought was the end turned out to be a great rain never rain? What if what we thought was the end turned out to be a great rain never rain? What if what we thought was the end turned out to be a great rain never rain? What if what we thought was the end turned out to be a great rain never rain? What if what we thought was the end turned out to be a great rain never rain? What if what we thought was the end turned out to be a great rain never rain? What if what we thought was the end turned out to be a great rain never rain? What if what we thought was the end turned out to be a great rain never rain? What if what we thought was the end turned out to be a great rain never rain? What if what we thought was the end turned out to be a great rain never rain? What if what we thought was the end turned out to be a great rain never rain?
Okay, that was distant dissonance. The next song I'm going to play for you is also going to be on the new album. It was something I had a conversation about with a friend about the song recently, where I was like, it either sounds like on the surface like it's a feminist manifesto or a tribute to Hall & Oates. It's kind of neither of those things. It was something I wrote, I guess, as a woman being put in a position where I want to defend myself, or if a man says something inappropriate or whatever. I'm in the service industry, so things like that happen all the time. And I always lose my teeth if I don't know if I'm using that expression properly, but I always feel like I can't think of the right thing to say, like esprit d'escalier a little bit, where you, I think it's the spirit of the staircase, where I think it's that you hit the top of the staircase by the time you think of the right thing to say, so then you'd have to walk all the way down and say it. And I have that chronically. And I also am very non-confrontational. So in a moment where I feel like I would want to confront someone, I oftentimes don't. And so I wrote this trying to think of who would be a good female role model. And I thought of a mantis. I had actually seen a mantis on my window like earlier that week. So this is a song kind of about a praying mantis. And it's called Manteater. You'll get the Hall & Oates reference, I think. You may or may not. It's fine. It wasn't intentional when I wrote it. Okay. Murderous man take sage ancient seer, stiletto hands fold in supplication. I want to be, I want to be, I want to be a man eater, a man eater. Ah, 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 Intently she sits and stares and stalks, fluidly gliding her head as it cocks to the side, as if to ask, who do you think you are? Who do you think you are? Serene in her height, she's cloaked in the open, displayed on pink silk or swatting in ash. This effigy seductively shifts and sways. They won't get very far. They won't get very far. Murderous man take sage ancient seer, stiletto hands fold in supplication. I want to be, I want to be, I want to be a man eater, a man eater. Spindly precision, she leaps away.
Keep still, she soothes them, embraced by her daggers. They twist
As if to kiss, she'll taste what they truly are. She'll taste what they truly are. stretch your hands, hold in supplication. 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 A man eater. I don't know if you all could hear it, but my my cat is growling so hard at another cat. It was just very appropriate. It made me laugh. I don't know if you could hear it, but it was like the end of the song, very dramatic and like a dinosaur. Anyway, I'm gonna continue. I have so those first two songs are going to be on the next album. These next two songs were off of my first album that was called The Wayward Warbler. I'm hydrating. This first song that I'm going to play off of that album is called Here We Go. I guess it's about not knowing or not being sure where you are in a relationship. I guess that's what it's about. I don't know.
We are, here we are, here we are, we, here we are, here we are, here we are, we, here we are, here we are, here we are, we, here we are, here we are, here we are, we, here we are, here we are, here we are, we, here we are, here we are, here we are, we, here we are, here we are, here we are, we, here we are, here we are, here we are, we, here we are, here we are, here we are, we, here we are, here we are, here we are, we, here we are, here we are, here we are, we, here we are, here we are, we, here we are, here we are, here we are, we, here we are, here we are, we,
Here we go. When one of two grows tired, don't I know sensations familiar? The first time in some time, self-imposed uniqueness, not at all that different, is it? Is it? Ain't it so? I raise them up so high, none can grow to imaginary heights. There I go, I let emotions fly, flying solo, hesitations familiar. The worst time in some time, indisposed in this mess, not at all that different, is it? Is it? Ain't it so? I raise them up so high, none can grow to imaginary heights. Prove me wrong. Prove me wrong. Prove me wrong. Okay. That was Here We Go. There it was. This next song I'm going to do, again, is off of The Wayward Warbler. It's a song called Surf It, which kind of speaks a little bit to my theater roots. I have my roots in the theater. I performed and studied a lot of Shakespeare in college, and one of my favorite plays is Twelfth Night. I got to do it twice in college. There's a line in that play that people misquote. And I guess I kind of misquoted in this song, but I always, whenever I perform it live, preface it with the story. So I guess I get a pass on that. The line that you probably have heard before, and perhaps you didn't know from where it had been taken, is if music be the food of love, play on, which is so beautiful and so flowery and has all those like ooh and ah vowel sounds in it. And that's why people like to just say, if music be the food of love, play on, full stop. But there is no full stop there. That line in the play continues. So the full line is, if music be the food of love, play on, give me excess of it, that surfeiting the appetite may sicken and so die. Meaning, if music is not like, if music is the food of love, play on, I love music, I love love, it's I love all of it, it's so great. That's not what it means. It means, if music be the food of love, play on. So I have so much love, I'm so full of love that I just want to vomit from all the love. And I'll be so sick from all the love that I won't want love anymore. And that's that's the sentiment of the line. And I think that, you know, I know people think that that first half, the flowery language, is really beautiful, but I think the line in its entirety is beautiful because it's honest. And there's beauty and truth. So this song was inspired by that. It's called Surf It, as I said. And I'm going to start it now. Papaya ba 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 papaya Need is a four-letter word. Then again, so is love, the one I've learned to throw away. The other I swallow down each day, till belly full it spills from my throat and falls on deaf ears. You're not listening, How embarrassing. You're not listening. How embarrassing. Want is a much better word. You're not listening. Then perhaps only safe, but safer yet say none at all. Words to betray as I recall, but acts will scream while lips seal them all. I'll bruised as it is. You're not listening. How embarrassing. 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 It's dreadful, this head full of what is. This heart to the brim surfeit sick with love. Inspired one inside said more than this. A change in him, surfeit sick of love. How embarrassing. Chooses a familiar word on which I often choke. He'd choose me, but I should have known he'd use me for a stepping stone. This brittle bone, the choice to walk on gets caught and stops my breath. I hear you say you're so good to me, but it's more than hospitality when you can't say the words to me. You'd rather condescend. If music be the food of love, that word I haven't served all. If music be the food of love, that if music be the food of love, you're not listening. How embarrassing. If music be the food of love, play on. Play on. Play on. And on. Play on. Play on. And on. Play on. Okay, so that song was called Surf It. I wanted to play a cover for you all tonight. It's weird for me to cover songs because I am restricted with the way that I do this. And I, of course, as Amanda mentioned, I loop live. I don't use any pre-recorded tracks, and I like it that way. I've been told it'd be easier if you use tracks, but I like the challenge it presents, and I appreciate when I'm trying to interpret a song that's not mine, how it forces me to find a way around if there's a key change or if there's a mood that shifts in the song, how I can create it. I usually have to do an intro to set up some things, but then I get to have fun and improvise over an intro a little bit and enjoy myself, which is why I do it. It's very self-indulgent. Sorry. This song was actually written by John Bryan, who's a pretty brilliant composer. He's done a lot of your favorite film soundtracks, such as Eternal Sunshine of a Spotless Mind, Lady Bird. He did Punch Drunk Love, I think, too. And this is a song that he wrote called Ruin My Day. I've always really liked the song, but I don't know if anyone, since COVID hit or since quarantine happened, if you heard if like anybody crawled out of the woodwork, like from your past, someone from whom you'd rather not hear. This song is dedicated to you. I'm sorry that happened to you. That person was, I don't know, either facing their own mortality or wildly manipulative, or, it doesn't have to be any one thing. making myself laugh. I hope that people are laughing. I hope that they're not like, whoa, what's this? What's her deal? Okay, the song is called Ruin My Day. Here it is.
Da 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 da
know it's today, so I guess you could say one recovers. Thought you should call me, but then after all, we were lovers. I don't wait by the phone like I used to. I don't hope for kind words you might say. You don't prey on my mind like you used to. But you can still ruin my day. You can still ruin my day. Telling me now you regret how we never connected. Oh, as if you forget that it's me you regret you rejected. I don't easily forgive like I used to, and I seldom get carried away. No, you don't have the pull that you used to, but you can still ruin my day. You can still ruin my day. Love, it was lovely. It hardly hurt a bit. It hardly hurt a bit. Sounds good to me, but unfortunately, I remember it. Now I don't lose my place like I used to. I'm not moved by your artful display. No, you can't draw me in like you used to. But you can still ruin my day. You can still ruin my day.
Thank you, Audra. It's also funny, I think, from your end that you can't hear or, see any of us. Like, I feel like we should teach everyone the sign language sign for clapping, which is this. You can at least see us, right? But we're getting comments in the chat box that are saying this was awesome. Thank you so much. So I think we have a couple minutes just for a Q&A, and I'll kick it off because as you started, it like triggered in my head that it reminded me of one of my favorite records from years ago, which was Laura Stevenson and the Cans. Do you know them at all?
I don't, but I'm going to write that down right now.
Ah, it's fantastic. Your voice is very much like Laura Stevenson. But when I was pregnant, walking around Atlantic Highlands, I'm just a huge pregnant woman with my earbuds on, singing at the top of my lungs. It's just like brought back weird memories for me. But my question would be, do you have a website?
So I do have a website. It's kind of under construction, so it's not very impressive at all, but it does have links to other things like my YouTube and stuff on it. So it's just martinhowth.com. But there's like something, like I said, under construction. There's some page that's like some non-existent page that I somehow can't get rid of, but it's just the letter S, like a tab or something. And I think I gave up because I'm like, what do I need a website for anyway? No one's like, no one's around. I'm not playing. But yeah, so I do have a website, but I also oftentimes just refer people to my Bandcamp when they're looking for things and what we're like social media stuff, etc.
So I would open it up to anyone who is joining us tonight. If you want to unmute yourselves, feel free to ask Audra a question, or if you want to type it in the chat box, feel free.
I just wanted my name is Audra Glass. And I've known Audra for many years. And I just wanted to say to any newcomers that you should consider yourself very lucky. And I wish I knew her even longer than I do already, that she's that amazing of a singer. To have observed her evolve into what she's doing now is just nothing short of magical. It's really amazing to watch and to see like where she's at now, because it's only just starting, and she's already just so, it's just so beautiful. And every song that I hear that she comes out with this new process, that is pretty rare. Like, you don't even get to see many artists doing this solo type of work. And most of her work isn't covers. Most of her work is just her own concept. It's really amazing. So I advise like everyone that's on this to either keep going and watching and listening to her, and tell your friends, because the best is yet to come.
Thank you, Adria. I love you.
I love you too.
There was a message in the chat box also that said, thank you so much. I saw you at Monmouth Museum. It was very impressive, especially live. Remarkable.
Oh, that's very sweet. Yeah, I played Monmouth Museum through Musicians on a Mission, I think quite a while ago. Maybe like a little over a year ago.
Oh, okay.
That's cool. Mm-hmm. That's awesome.
Any other questions from our audience tonight? I have another quick question, actually. So you said you studied theater in college. So are you still acting, or have you sort of like made this transition? Was it post school that you made the transition?
I think I knew during my senior year of college that I wasn't cut out for the audition process. I was like, oh, what am I doing? I earned my BFA for performance. But I was already singing jazz at the time. And so I performed a little bit when I graduated college. I did a couple of theater tours and things. And then I ended up I would do some local things, while I was still performing and singing, but I ended up just singing more often. And I don't really act anymore. I teach I was teaching for the Algonquin Arts Theater for quite some time, like 6 or 7 years. I was teaching at Count Basie Theater. I was part of their arts education outreach program before all of this happened. And I did, during all of this, start an outdoor, it's kind of like secret, but not. We have an outdoor Shakespeare program called Nothing New Under the Sun, which is inspired by the guerrilla theater movement of like the mid-1960s through mid-1970s. And we go around and just perform scenes from Shakespeare in front of unsuspecting folks outside. And it's distanced and we're wearing masks and it's fun. We opened that last weekend. We're going to be continuing with that.
It's like flash mobs Shakespeare.
Yeah, it kind of is. And I got into it. A friend of mine had kind of kicked me in the butt and been like, you haven't acted in a while and you should be acting. What are you doing? And I was like, okay, you want to do some guerrilla Shakespeare? And he was like, yes. And then I ended up, and he was so wonderful and helped me, organize things and suggested material that we could use. And then I ended up just compiling all the material and directing everything and not acting in it. But now I'm going to have to act in it because someone had to drop out of it. So I will be acting is like the short answer of that very long story. And maybe you'll see me if I ambush a street near you.
Yay!
And that'll be it.
Oh my gosh. All right. So I think for sake of time, it's almost 8 o'clock. We'll end on this last question that we have from the chat box. Please show us your looper.
Okay, hold on. I have to remove my mug, my effects mug. And this is the chopstick wrapped in a t-shirt that I use as like a I guess it's a hand extender, finger extender. Just gotta move all this stuff out so I can turn it around. Okay, here we go. Be able to see. I'm gonna tilt my camera. This is very precarious. Hold on. So here it is. You can sort of see it. I'm recording something right now. 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 You can see it has all these lights. I'm recording something right now. I'm recording. So the lights tell you like where you are in the loop, which is helpful to have a visual cue in case you're in a venue that you can't really hear, or which is not ideal, but I've been in those situations before. Hold on. I'm not gonna be able to hear you because I don't have it. But that's it. So they also make a 303 that has 3 like channels on it. But this is the 505. I wanted as many as possible. So
are there ones that come with more, like 10 or 20 channels?
I don't know. I haven't researched that far. I don't know what I would do with that many. This is like, it's kind of just enough. And there's still times where I'm like, where it can sound busy. And there's some songs that I try to utilize that busyness because I like it as being like it sounds almost like a fugue, like where all these parts are going on at once, and then cutting it out. I like the drama of that because I guess I have a theater background. I'm into drama. Or in that first song I played, that's called Distant Dissonance. The parts in that song are sort of dissonant, but they also sort of blend. When they're all together, it sounds like it blends. And I've gotten, I think one of the first times I played that, someone was like, it's too distracting. There are too many loops. I'm like, but that's the point. The song is called, it's referencing how dissonant it is the point. But so I think anything beyond the 5, it might get too busy if you're playing them all at once. Now, if you're doing things where you're bringing things in and out, I could see how utilizing that would be helpful, but I'm okay with 5. I would have to look in to see if there's some with more than 5. I'm sure it exists.
Yeah, some of my favorite parts of your songs are the beginning, of course, because it's fascinating to watch the process. But the end where you start to like pitter out and I guess like unclick the tracks and it just like, oh, it's just it's yummy. We have one more comment in the chat box. Before the pandemic, Audra was going to collaborate with Rolando Alvarado for a monthly music series, Music on First, at the Arts Council. Please stay tuned for it in 2021, hopefully. That's so exciting.
Yes, my dear friend Rolando and I, we were very excited about that, and super bummed when the first one, we were holding out. We were like, I think the first show was in April, and we were like, maybe it's going to happen. And then it was, no, it's probably not going to happen. But yes, we're very excited about the music series, Rolando and I.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll make it happen somehow.
Right.
All right. Well, thank you so much. We really appreciate you being here. This was fantastic.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I had a lot of fun.
Yeah. And then we'll see you, in 2021 for this fantastic new series. We'll figure out how to do it. Live or virtual or both or whatever.
We'll figure it out. It'll get done.
Yeah, it'll be fun. Thank you everyone for joining us.
Thanks
Have
so
a good
much.
night.
Bye.